Timothy Ratliff Jason Isaacs has a lot to hide from his family right now on the White Lotus, which makes it incredibly ironic that he exposed himself to all of them during this week's episode. Yes, Season 3 of Mike White's HBO vacation satire has added another male full-frontal moment to its ever-growing collection. Isaacs now joins the club alongside his on-screen son Patrick Schwarzenegger, Season 2's Theo James, and Season 1 Steve Zahn. As soon as he arrived in Thailand, Timothy learned that his perfect life is about to come crashing down because the FBI is investigating him for money laundering and bribery. The clock has been ticking for Tim ever since, as he's kept his family, wife Victoria, Parker Posey, son Saxon Schwarzenegger, and Lachlan, Sam Nivola, and daughter Piper, Sarah Catherine Hook, in the dark and blissfully unaware of the impending doom. And in Sunday's episode, Hide or Seek, Timothy proceeded to get high on the lorazepam he stole from his wife, and without realizing that his robe popped open, he leaned back, exposing himself in front of them all. Yeah, it is now in my contract for every show I do, so we'll see. Isaacs tells Entertainment Weekly with a laugh about his full-frontal moment. It'll get easier, hopefully. You should be asking what it was like for us to watch it, Schwarzenegger tells EW, making Isaacs let out another big laugh. While Timothy's family didn't think twice about his odd behavior, Victoria laughed and rolled her eyes, Saxon laughed, Lachlan cringed, and Piper hid her face in embarrassment. Isaac spent a long time thinking about what has led his character to this rock-bottom moment. He's drugging himself into a stupor to try not to think about the fact that his entire life is blowing up and trying to work out what to do about it. Isaac says, "It was actually quite challenging. I remember reading the scripts thinking, wow, I've got to keep my powder dry for 5 or 6 episodes, and then this really kicks off. You haven't seen other things that are coming, but I just remember thinking, I better dig deep and produce something here, because there's a lot of parts you can go through and tell a very dramatic story without your character going through anything extreme. But there's some big, old acting coming up." The actor describes the rest of his Season 3 arc as Shakespearean tragedy stuff, as Timothy continues to unravel. He's been bottling it up for a very long time, he says. There's a point coming when they leave. If they make it and they're alive, because who knows, but it's going to be unavoidable, the big secret he has been harboring. Isaacs poured himself into character during filming to bring that to life, but he isn't sure what audiences will think once they see the rest of the season. "I don't know how I pulled it off," he says. "The audience will see whether I did or not. It'll be up to them to judge, but I just remember thinking, I've got to go big or go home. And then when things happen that I can't talk about particularly, something else had to kick in. And there's a mania and a terror that you have to access. You got to get there. I mean, you got to be as real as you can." And yeah, there was some inner gear changes required. Knowing that most of Timothy's struggle is internal was a big challenge for Isaacs. It didn't feel easy because, first of all, I like words. I like talking, he says. And not that characters should talk all the time, but I knew that I was unable to share with anybody else, apart from the audience, what was going on for me. And that was done mostly wordlessly in a drug stupor, so that was always going to be a challenge, not to just be the boring guy falling asleep. At least in this case, boring guy falling asleep delivered another instance of full-frontal male nudity, which is now officially a trend on this show. The White Lotus Season 3 airs Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time / Pacific Time on HBO.